So, in this video I will talk about taking exams in Russia. Not just any exams, but state exams for obtaining mandatory incomplete secondary education. Meaning after passing those exams, I'll be able to go and live an almost adult life. That's finish studying at school. And I'm sort of finishing 9th grade. And average age for taking the OGE is 15 to 16. As far as I know, there is nothing like this in America. But the main thing I want to talk about is about the fairly effective and powerful Russian system of education and assessment. And if you look closely, it's adapted from different countries and uses a similar student assessment system, which doesn't always correctly assess each child's knowledge well accurately. Now you'll learn how the OGE evolved and its older brother taken in 11th grade, called the EGE. I'll talk about my experience taking the OGE and my brother's experience taking EGE, how I took the OGE and how I didn't cheat, because the cheating is not allowed. And most importantly, at the end I'll try to compare American, European, Chinese and Russian schools. Now let's begin, but disclaimer, I 100% definitely didn't cheat on the exam, because it's very bad and totally unacceptable. To get a certificate of incomplete secondary education, you need to pass 4 subjects, 2 of which are elective. Since I study at a physics math school and to continue studying in my same track, I had to take in addition to the mandatory subjects math and Russian language, physics and computer science. For each subject our teachers prepared us for the OGE at school. Huge respect for every teacher, because I like studying in specialized class more than studying in a regular school. But anyway, every year from 9th grade we were literally stuffed that the OGE in 9th grade and especially EGE in 11th grade will decide our lives. And that will depend on it. They will consistently search you for phones, cheat sheets with answers and etc. There are even a shitload of videos on Russian language YouTube and Instagram where they talk about inspections on EGE and OGE. But it turned out to be blatant bullshit that we keep swallowing right up until the exams began. And the smarter ones understood that all those exams barely mean anything. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. All those exams appeared in 2000s. First, the EGE in 201, it became mandatory in 209, and the OGE got mandatory in 2013. They were all created for supposedly transparent assessment of children's knowledge and for reducing corruption in universities, since Russian students got into the universities in Russia based on EGE results. But it can't all be that smooth. Of course not, because combined so abruptly the Western testing format like SAT and ACT, as well as Chinese super hard Gaokao with the Soviet education system without proper adaptation and organization, turned out to be a mistake, not only in a school student's opinion, but also in the opinion of some deputations. Because many years ago, students in the USSR took entrance exams directly at the university they wanted to get into, but now everyone takes them in their own city at a randomly selected school, and future students could easily cheat, not only on the OGE for 9th grade, which doesn't decide much, but also on the EGE. To prove my point, I'll tell you how my older brother took the EGE in 2012. For a second, by the time, the exam had been improved and refined for over 10 years. So here's what happened. My brother, let's call him Ronnie, came to the school where the exam was held, and a few minutes after it started, our mom simply came to the school, walked up to the guard, said my brother's first and last name, and they handed her the answer sheets and the problems. Then our mom came home, where my brother's tutor was. They solved everything, and my mom took the sheets back to school. That's how my brother passed the EGE. As for the OGE, I can say it's even worse, because here, the answers get leaked right away. Okay, not so fast, let me tell you exactly how I took the OGE. So, the first exam was math. I didn't go to the math tutor for the entire year, and didn't really prepare before the exam. Real preparation only started 3 days before the exam, but I don't recommend doing that because my school teacher prepared us well. And before entering 9th grade, at my specialized school I studied a ton of both math and physics for half a year. So I already had the knowledge. Every day I sat for 10 hours solving different types of problems. And in my small free time, I watched solution videos on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube is really insane for studying. And the goal was a 5. To get it, you need to solve the first part completely correctly. It's easy. I solved it. And you need to solve 2 problems from the second part. Where are 6 problems total? So it's not a hard question. Let's jump to 13 hours before the exam. I went to bed at 9 p.m. to get a good night's sleep and woke up at 5 a.m. to not print cheat sheets because we hadn't pulled money in advance and bought the answers to the exam. It wasn't about $30. I didn't struggle long with my printer because I printed nothing. That very day the printer stopped working with my MacBook and it also ran out of toner. So basically I spent an hour and a half not printing, then I didn't laminate the first part of exam, didn't cut anything out, then I went to school. The main thing is I made it by 8 a.m. and nobody had answers. Not surprising since we are model students. Then I went to take the exam. It wasn't very hard and I didn't go to the toilet twice to memorize answers. Because there are cameras in the classrooms and several teachers. And the second time someone even came and told me I had to hurry. So I finished the first part. There were 3 hours left until the end of the exam. And I simply went on to the second part. I did it completely myself because I spent 3 days preparing for a reason. I wrestled with the graph for about an hour because I got a problem with an expression under n modulus. And that was exactly what I'd forgotten to review, but I still solved it and left. We will find the results at the end of the video. So the second OGE exam, physics, was much calmer because I already knew how it all worked. Also, I didn't print cheat sheets, didn't stuff them into my socks or underwear. Here it turned out like this. There was no part 1 in my right sock, no part 2 in my left sock, and there was no lab work in my underwear. I also went to add that I prepared for physics even more than for math. I went to a tutor for a year and a half and constantly did OGE practice, so I roughly understood what my level was. Also, I got lucky with my physics teacher. Besides running extra classes and pushing us to study, they went to the school where our exam was, filled and checked and verified all the equipment and wrote down all the values, the spring constants and etc. Overall, I don't go to the toilet like I owned the place and I don't walk out 5 times. And it turned out nobody cared at all, since I was sitting in the classroom wall. And most importantly, I didn't cheat. I did the first part, the lab, and almost all of the second part. And I solved one problem of the second part completely on my own. By the way, I should make a note. Whenever I'm not cheating, I first solve everything myself and only then compare with the answers. This way, it's easier to remember the answers. And you don't end up looking stupid. Anyway, that's it for physics. Russian language. The exam lasted 4 hours, but with no printed cheat sheets and with the summary memorizing, I calmly headed to school, quickly wrote the summary, didn't cheat on the test section, and wrote the essay. The essay was hard, but I figured it out and wrote it with no problem. Then left 2 hours after the start, and only one exam is left, computer science. But there's still 9 days, so whatever. But after 6 days, I said, oh, it's not whatever anymore. There are 3 days left until the start, and I think it's time to begin preparing. First of all, I remember the first part. It turned out to be really easy. Then the second part, there are 4 problems, 3 of them are easy, and 1 is pattern programming. But even so, by solving 3 problems, I can get a 5. The preparation was easy, because the exam itself is considered easy. Then we move on to the actual exam. I also did not make cheat sheets. I went to the school where exams was held, and the meme here is that this is this very school I left after 9 years of studying there, so they know me, but it didn't help me. But I did run into my old teachers. Anyway, I sat down at the computer and started solving. Then I didn't cheat on the first part and solved the second part. Basically everything I prepared for matched up, and there was nothing difficult. So what grades did I get? I will say right away. Math, 25 out of 29 points. That's a mark 5. I made mistake in 2 tasks, so basically awesome. Next, physics. It was super cool. 35 out of 38 points. Also mark 5. Really awesome. Then Russian language. 29 points. That's a mark 3. Even though a 4 mark starts at 24 points, which means I got all the content related criteria in the essay and the summary. Plus, I didn't cheat and did the test part correctly. But because I got practically no points for grammar, they give me 3 instead at the 4 I should have had. And computer science, 23 points, that's a 4. Also a normal result, because it's already summer and I was enjoying life. So don't be afraid of exams. It's really not that hard, especially if you're prepared yourself and if you have a backpack not in the form of cheat sheets, but in the form of your knowledge. And as for where it's better to study, in my opinion, school is better in Russia. I haven't studied at schools in other countries, but I wouldn't mind. Judging by students' reviews and Reddit posts, Russian school students are strong in physics and math, because Soviet education although not perfect, its strength can't be denied. Universities in Russia are more controversial topic, which I can talk about in more detail in future videos. But for example, when decision which country to study in, realistically assess your abilities and your parents' financial situation. I have little chance of studying at an American university because of my Russian passport and the price difference. Education there costs $60,000 to $100,000 per year, while in Russia it's about $15,000, and that's for top universities. Europe is more realistic for me, but you need to learn the language, and that's 1 extra year before starting studies, which is also freaking awesome and interesting. And of course China. Compared to Europe and America, I like it less, but their policies toward Russian students are simpler and easier. Thanks everyone, bye bye.